He found her left for dead beneath a juniper tree, beaten so badly he could barely recognize her as human. An Apache girl, maybe 13 years old, her body broken by white men's violence. Daniel Hartwell knew what helping her meant. Soldiers would call it treason, neighbors would call it betrayal, and Apache might kill him for touching their child. But he carried her home anyway and spent 2 weeks nursing her back to life. When her tribe arrived 2 weeks later, 20 warriors in war formation surrounding his ranch, Daniel prepared to die for his choice. Then the chief dismounted, approached, and did something that would change the territory forever. What happened next defied everything Daniel thought he knew about war, honor, and enemies. Daniel Hartwell discovered her at dawn while riding the northern boundary of his ranch. The New Mexico sun was just breaking over the Sangre de Cristo mountains, painting the sagebrush landscape in shades of copper and gold. November 1877 had brought early cold to the territory, and frost clung to the desert vegetation. At first, he thought the dark shape beneath the juniper tree was a dead animal. Then he saw the blood-soaked deerskin dress. Daniel dismounted quickly. She was Apache, maybe 13 or 14 years old. Her face was badly beaten, one eye swollen shut. Deep cuts crossed her arms and shoulders where she'd tried to defend herself. Her breathing was shallow, labored. She'd been left here to die. His hands shook as he checked for broken bones. Her left arm was fractured, possibly ribs too, from the way she breathed. Whoever had done this had been thorough and cruel. Daniel knew what finding her meant. His ranch sat 15 miles southeast of Santa Fe, in territory where Apache raids and settler violence had created a cycle of bloodshed that seemed endless. The army had standing orders to shoot Apache on sight. His neighbors, the Calhoun brothers, had lost their father to an Apache raid 2 years ago and swore vengeance against any they found. Helping this girl could cost Daniel everything: his land, his safety, possibly his life. He looked at her face, so young beneath the bruises and blood. She reminded him of his niece back in Missouri. Same delicate features, same age. Someone's daughter, someone's sister. "I got you," Daniel said quietly, though she was unconscious. He removed his coat, wrapped it around her carefully, and lifted her into his arms. She weighed almost nothing. His horse, a steady mare named Patience, accepted the extra burden without complaint. Daniel mounted behind the girl, cradling her against his chest, and turned toward his ranch house. Every instinct screamed this was dangerous. His conscience said it was the only choice that mattered. For 3 days, Daniel worked to keep the girl alive. He set her arm with splints, cleaned and bandaged her wounds, forced water and broth between her cracked lips. She drifted in and out of consciousness, sometimes crying out in Apache, sometimes lying so still he feared she'd stopped breathing. He told no one. His ranch hand, Miguel, had taken 2 weeks to visit family in Albuquerque, a stroke of luck Daniel desperately needed. The isolation that usually bothered him now felt like providence. On the 4th day, her fever broke. On the 5th, her eyes opened, both of them now, the swelling reduced, and focused on him with sharp awareness. "Water," she whispered in English. Daniel brought the canteen, supporting her head as she drank. "Easy, not too fast." She studied him with those dark, intelligent eyes. "You are white man?" "Yes, my name's Daniel Hartwell." "Why you help me?" Her English was broken but clear. "White men did this." She gestured weakly at her injuries. "Not all of us are like that," Daniel said, anger rising at whoever had brutalized this child. "Can you tell me what happened?" Slowly, painfully, she told him. Her name was Nasha. It meant owl in her language. She'd been gathering herbs near the Rio Grande when 3 men found her. Trappers, she thought, from their appearance. They'd beaten her, taken her knife and the small pouch of silver her father had given her, and left her for dead, laughing about, "One less Apache." "Where is your family?" Daniel asked gently. My band camps 3 days north, near Taos. She paused, fear crossing her face. They think I am dead. Can you ride? When you're stronger, I can take you part of the way. No. She gripped his arm with surprising strength. If soldiers see Apache girl with white man, they kill us both. If my people see white man bringing me, they kill you. She met his eyes. You have done enough. When I am strong, I go alone. Over the next week, Nasha healed with remarkable resilience. She helped around the ranch as she could, mending, cooking, moving carefully, but with growing strength. Daniel taught her more English. She taught him Apache words. They spoke little of the danger both faced, but it hung in the air like storm clouds. On the 12th day, Daniel returned from checking his cattle to find Nasha standing by his door, dressed in clean clothes he'd altered to fit her, her few possessions packed. I go now, she said. I am strong enough. You have given me life back. I will tell my people of this. It's still dangerous, Daniel protested. Everything is dangerous. She smiled, the first real smile he'd seen from her. But you gave me chance. I will not waste it. She touched her hand to her heart, then extended it toward his. Nasha will remember Daniel Hartwell. Always. Then she was gone, slipping into the desert landscape like a shadow, heading north. Daniel watched until she disappeared, wondering if he'd ever know whether she made it home safely, wondering what consequences his choice might bring. He wouldn't have to wonder long. 2 weeks later, Daniel was repairing fence posts when patients whinnied nervously. He looked up and felt his blood turn cold. Riders approached from the north, dozens of them. Apache warriors on horseback, moving in formation. Even from a distance, Daniel could see they were armed, rifles, bows, lances, war party strength. His rifle was in the barn, 30 yards away. He'd never make it. Even if he did, what good would one rifle do against 20 warriors? This was it. Retribution for helping Nasha. Or worse, maybe she'd never made it home, and they'd tracked her here, found evidence, assumed he'd killed her. Daniel stood his ground, hands visible and empty. If he was going to die, he'd face it with dignity. The riders approached in a cloud of dust, spreading out to surround his property. Daniel's heart hammered, but he kept his breathing steady. The lead rider was an older man, his face weathered like canyon rock, a single eagle feather in his long grey hair. A chief, Daniel realized. 2 other men flanked him, younger but carrying themselves with similar authority. They stopped 20 feet away. The silence stretched, broken only by the horses' breathing and the wind through the sagebrush. Then the chief spoke in Apache. Another man translated in heavily accented English. "You are Daniel Hartwell." "I am," Daniel said, his voice steadier than he felt. "You found Nasha, daughter of Goyakla, 12 suns ago. You healed her. You fed her. You sent her home unharmed." Daniel nodded slowly. "I did." More Apache words. The translator continued. "Why? White men killed her family 3 winters past. White men beat her and left her to die. Why would white man save her?" Daniel met the chief's eyes. "Because it was the right thing to do. Because she's a child. Because..." He paused, searching for words. "Because we're all human beings before we're anything else." The translator spoke to the chief. A long moment passed. Then something extraordinary happened. The chief dismounted. The other warriors followed his lead, but the chief approached alone, walking with measured dignity until he stood directly before Daniel. He spoke in Apache, long and flowing sentences. The translator dismounted as well, moving closer to interpret. Chief Cochillo says, "In the time of great darkness between our peoples, when blood calls for blood and hate breeds hate, you chose a different path. You risked your life, your home, your safety for one Apache girl you did not know. This is courage. This is honor." The chief reached into a leather pouch at his side and withdrew something that made Daniel's breath catch. It was a necklace, a single turquoise stone wrapped in silver, suspended on a leather cord. Even Daniel, who knew little of Apache customs, recognized it as something important. The translator continued, "This stone belonged to Cochillo's father, and his father before. It carries the protection of his bloodline. He gives it to you now, so that all Apache will know you are protected. You are friend. You are brother." The chief placed the necklace over Daniel's head with ceremonial care. Then he did something even more unexpected. He placed his hand over Daniel's heart and spoke again. He says, the translator's voice was thick with emotion, "You have shown what white men can be when honor guides them. In return, his people will show you what Apache can be when gratitude guides them. From this day, you are under the protection of the Chiricahua. Any who harm you, harm all of us. Your ranch is sacred ground. Your cattle will not be touched. Your water will flow freely. This he swears by the memory of his ancestors." Daniel felt tears stinging his eyes. "I don't know what to say. I only did what anyone should do. No." The chief spoke in English now, heavily accented but clear. "You did what few men, white or Apache, have courage to do. You saw human being, not enemy. This," he touched the turquoise stone, "means you carry honor of my people. Do not lose it." Other warriors came forward, each acknowledging Daniel with gestures of respect. One brought a rifle, Apache-made, beautifully crafted. Another brought dried meat and supplies. A third brought a woven blanket of extraordinary quality. Then Nasha herself emerged from behind the group of horses. She ran to Daniel and hugged him fiercely. She was healthier now, her injuries healed, her spirit restored. "I told them everything," she said in English. "I told them you saved me when you could have left me. I told them you are a good man." She smiled. "Now they know what I know." Chief Cochillo stayed for an hour, sharing food and speaking through his translator about the fragile hope that perhaps one day there could be peace between their peoples. When they finally left, Daniel stood alone in his yard, the turquoise necklace heavy against his chest, watching the riders disappear into the desert landscape. Word spread quickly. Within days, neighboring ranchers heard that Daniel Hartwell wore Apache protection. Some condemned him as a traitor. Others, quietly and privately, asked him how he'd achieved what governments and armies couldn't, a genuine truce. The Calhoun brothers came to confront him a week later, angry and suspicious. Daniel met them on his porch, the turquoise visible around his neck. "You're protecting savages," John Calhoun spat. "I'm showing basic human decency," Daniel replied calmly. "And in return, I've received something I never expected: respect, protection, and proof that honor exists on both sides of this conflict. They killed our father. And white men killed Chief Cochillo's entire family 3 years ago. Where does the cycle end, John? Who breaks it first?" Daniel met his eyes. "I chose to break it. What you do with your hate is your choice." The Calhoun brothers left without violence, but their anger was palpable. Not everyone would accept what Daniel had done. Some never would, but others did. Miguel returned from Albuquerque and, after hearing the story, asked to learn Apache greetings to show respect if warriors visited. A traveling preacher stopped by and called Daniel's actions the most Christian thing I've witnessed in 20 years of ministry. Even the territorial governor sent a cautious letter acknowledging that Daniel's unprecedented arrangement might offer a template for future peace negotiations. Over the following months, Daniel's ranch became neutral ground. Apache would stop to water their horses, always respectful, often leaving small gifts. Settlers traveling through found safe passage because Daniel's protection extended to his guests. Nasha visited twice, bringing her younger brother to meet the white man who saved her life. She was flourishing, laughing, healthy, full of the vibrant energy that had been beaten out of her that terrible day. Daniel never removed the turquoise necklace. It became part of him, a constant reminder that courage sometimes meant standing alone against prevailing hatred, that humanity could bridge any divide, that a single act of compassion could change everything. Years later, when New Mexico achieved statehood and the Apache Wars finally ended, historians would point to many factors that contributed to peace. But those who were there, who witnessed it, knew the truth. It started with one rancher who chose to save one girl, and in doing so proved that honor and gratitude could transcend even the bloodiest conflicts. Daniel Hartwell had risked everything to do what was right. In return, he'd received something far more valuable than safety or gratitude. He'd received proof that the human capacity for good could overcome the human capacity for hate, and that changed not just his life, but the lives of everyone who witnessed it.